Hello everyone. Good to be here. Let me just check on the chat. There's a video automatically starting my channel. Here we go. Alright. Well, that's interesting. It says 18 people are watching, but... Oh, well, there's the ship people. Evening, Alex. Long time no see. Hello. Good to see you. Hello, Five Caps Films. Alright, let me just... Okay, cool. So, that's all good. So, hi, everybody. It has been a while because, you know, the summers up here in Oregon are not very long, but but they do consistently stay warm. It's actually kind of interesting here because the weather overall up here is very stable, but that being said, there are those random moments where the weather just suddenly turns. But anyway, that's beside the point. We had our final heat wave of the summer, and now we are smack dab in the middle of fall, and fall in Oregon is basically cold weather and rain and definitely the leaves turning color. So, yeah, so wow, we got a lot of people here. Hello, Dino. Hello, Christianity. Cheers from Bulgaria. Oh, wow, Bulgaria. That's really cool. Hello. Hi, Mark. How's it going? Richard. Nell. Hello. Good. Yeah, good morning to you. Hello, Sarah. And the ship people. Let's see. Nathan. Five Caps Films. Gus. And Richard again. Yeah, so today we're having Yorkshire Gold, and I'll just go ahead and get that started because I just, right, okay, I gotta empty out half of this water here. So, I've been wanting to do one of these live streams for quite a while, but like I said, I don't drink hot tea during the warm weather. It's just not enjoyable for me. And I don't drink cold tea ever. So, I had to really consider when I would do a tea time stream. There we go. So let that come up to temperature a little bit. Shouldn't take too long. Hello, Chris from the UK. Alright, the shit people says we're heading into spring. Spring's a whole year away, or no, half a year away. So, anyway, so, yeah, trying to think. I had a few topics prepared for today, but then the last second I was just really, you know, working on getting this live stream up, and now I forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, folks, I've been working on a new video, and it was supposed to debut on Friday, but I kept running into issue after issue, and now hopefully it'll be published tomorrow. But it's a new style of video that I'm trying, and I want to see if you guys like it. You know, I'm really hoping you do, because it's faster to make. I can make these videos every week. You know, my documentaries, they take me 2 weeks to a month to make at my fastest. It just takes forever. I don't know how other channels like Ocean Liner Designs and, you know, and It's History and all of them, I don't know how they get their videos out so quickly. The only thing I can think of is maybe they have a team of people working on it, but I cannot keep up with that. I mean, the amount of research I have to do just to get to that level, I mean, I don't know how they do it, but yeah, so this new style of video I'm trying can be made much faster, and it's based off of things I already know off the top of my head, and anything that I don't know is easy to quickly research and then bring it into the video. And so hopefully you guys like it. I have to try to finish it today so that way I can publish it tomorrow. And then I can get moving on to the next documentary, which I've already started working on. We'll see how far I get on that documentary. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, the ship people, I don't take offense as long as you keep what you say in good measure, I don't have a problem. I know I'm chubby. I know I look Asian. But, yeah, there's no need to continuously repeat it. Let's see. Joby says, "Hi, Alex. My spouse and I are taking a trip to the UK tomorrow. Our first time visiting." Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. So, like, what parts of the UK? Like, what are you going to see and do? Five Caps Film says, "Alex, how do you end the live stream the second you walk out? Is it timed?" I always feel like it never ends at the right time. But, I mean, I guess now you're telling me that it does, so I'm like, oh, that's perfect, because it's supposed to end right as I walk out. It's not perfectly timed. So, basically, I'm on, like, a 12-second delay. So, that's just how YouTube works. As soon as you click go live, it's 12 seconds before you see the image. So yeah, so everything I'm saying right now happened 12 seconds ago. So that's how I know that if I just get up and walk over to my computer and stop the live stream, I know that I can do that right about the moment that, that in the stream I get up and walk away. I can just cut it from there. So yeah, so 12-second delay. Ship people, I am good. Do you know where your family origins are from? Yes, half of my family is Latino. They come from Mexico, and the other half of my family is white. So it's a mixture of Irish and English, and mainly the white side of my family comes from southern U.S. But before that, they came, I think, like the mid-1800s. They came from Ireland, essentially, and there's a bit of English in there too. Let's see. Gus Gibson says, "I'm visiting the Queen Mary at the end of September." Nice. Yeah, there's the Queen Mary on September 26th is having a little ceremony. They're going to reintroduce Her Majesty Queen Mary's Royal Standard. The original Royal Standard, which is a flag, was removed from the ship when the ship retired and sent back to the royal family. Of course, the ship has no authority to ask for that standard back. So what they've done is they've partnered with people to get the Royal Standard remade. So they've made a replica of it, and it was made in England, and it was hand stitched and hand painted, and I think they're going to unveil that on September 26th. And then 2 days later, there's some people holding some parties, some shindigs that are going down to celebrate the Queen Mary's 90th anniversary. They count the birth of a ship the moment it touches water for the first time, which is when they launch the ship. So they're celebrating Queen Mary's 90th as of her launch date in 1934. So let's see here. Craig says, "Please don't say that about being chubby. You're not." I'm very chubby. That is for sure. I live in the United Kingdom, Alex, and we're due to have an Indian summer next week of 32 degrees. Wow. Craig in Birmingham, West Midlands. Oh, wow. Hello to Craig in Birmingham. 32 degrees. That's pretty hot. That's got to be, let's see, 100. I think it's over 100. over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but I don't know exactly the number. I'm not very good at converting that in my head. But I do know that 32 degrees is technically extremely warm. So, I know that much. Let's see. Dino says, "Hey Alex, have you left time in your trip to New Orleans just for plain fun with your friends and family going with you?" Technically, no. So what Dino's talking about is my New Orleans trip, which is coming up next month. I have everything planned down to the hour. So, and we're only doing stuff during the daytime because New Orleans at night and in the early dark hours of the morning is not the safest place. It's not the most dangerous place. I happen to know that the city I live next to is actually more dangerous in terms of violent crime than New Orleans is right now. And I feel a little bit fine walking around at night in Portland. But yeah, still, we'd be in a place we don't really know, a very touristy area where people get mugged and stuff at night because they know that tourists have money. So we're planning on kind of being inside after dusk and just not doing anything except maybe, like, Chris and I might do some uploading or downloading of the footage we've shot over the course of the day, that kind of thing. But otherwise, all the daylight hours, everything from like practically dawn all the way till dusk, has been planned out by the hour. So we've got a lot of things to do and to get to, because there's a lot of stuff I want to see, lots of stuff I want to film, to make content about, and I don't want to waste any bit of this trip because I don't know when I'll ever get to go back. Hopefully I don't have to wait too long to go back, but I don't know. So, and there's some things I don't think I will be able to get to, one of the things on the itinerary that I really, really, really wanted to do was to see the plantations. I wanted to go to Whitney Plantation so I could get a better understanding, because it's got a heavy focus on the slave life and what the reality was for people on the plantations. And that's one place I really, really wanted to see. It just seems like a great learning experience, Unfortunately, to do that, we have to rent a car, we have to, pay for gas and get insurance on the car and all this stuff, and it would have ended up costing like an extra $300. And I don't think we have the time for it. I mean, I really looked at all the stuff. I see going to Whitney Plantation as one item on a list. So even though it would take all day to drive out there, see it, do all this stuff, go to Oak Alley Plantation, and because my dad really wants to see that, and then drive back by dusk, that would take up a whole day. But we've got a lot of other things on the list, and spending a whole day doing just one thing, one item from my list, it would actually be kind of a waste. And I really wish I could stay an extra day in New Orleans, honestly, because with that extra day, then we could go to the plantations. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But there are still other things on the list that are in the French Quarter and stuff that I really want to see and do. But at the moment, I don't quite have the money for it. But thanks to a lot of people who did donate to my previous video that was all about New Orleans and the trip I'm going to take and stuff like that. A lot of people did donate, and that helped to be able to pay for things like seeing the Gallier House, which was something I originally didn't have money for, but now I do. I can see the Gallier House. I can, I can go to the Pharmacy Museum and stuff. Another thing I was short on was money for food. I really didn't have my share, because everybody is paying for themselves. I didn't have my share prepared for like eating, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner and stuff. We plan to just go to like quick walk-up places where you can just get like a paper bowl of gumbo or something and walk away with that kind of thing. I didn't have money for that, but thanks to people who donated, now I do. So that's really cool. But yeah. But as for time to have just plain fun, technically no, but when we do get to see all these museums and things, that is fun for us. Even though I'll have the camera the whole time and be focusing on getting the right shots, it'll still be fun, and I'll enjoy it, and, you know, just kind of absorbing the atmosphere wherever we can. I think that'll be really fun. So, yeah, but otherwise we're not doing anything like, I mean, we're not going on any swamp tours or anything like that. Like, nothing, like, adventurous, you know. I think the most leisurely thing we'll be doing is we'll be walking through the Garden District. Now, granted, that's going to be another video, too, so I'm going to be filming that. But that will be a nice 3-hour stroll, just kind of going through the Garden District and stuff, and riding the old streetcar and stuff, so that'd be really cool. But yeah. But yeah, if you guys want to see what the itinerary is, what I plan to do in New Orleans, all that kind of stuff, that's I made a video about that, and the link is in the description below, so it's there, top of the description. The Ship People says, Alex, any idea of what's happening to the United States? I haven't heard anything. So it was supposed to be sold to be sunk off the coast of Florida, but supposedly yesterday there was this big hullabaloo where I guess the owner of the pier was trying to keep control of the ship, so they're now battling it out in court or something like that. I don't really know what's going on. I don't really understand what's happening, but it doesn't sound good. You know, here the SS United States was about to be retired, and, well, it is retired, but you know, scuttled, and now it can't even have that dignity, because now it has to go back to court, and, you know, and they have to figure out what all this hullabaloo is about. So it's just tragic, you know. Oh, right. I'm just gonna brew the tea. Alright, so 119. That only needs to go for 4 minutes. So 123. One will be ready. Let's see. Joe B says, we'll be in London area for a week and then spending a few days in Edinburgh. Oh, I really want to see Edinburgh. That's when I do my UK trip, which hopefully this New Orleans trip is really popular in terms of the content I make, because that'll help me to earn the money to finally finish paying up for the UK trip and go on the UK trip. And one of the places on our itinerary for the UK trip is Edinburgh. I really want to see that. Oh my gosh. The Ship People says, no wonder you like tea. Earl Grey today. No, today is Yorkshire Gold. Christianity says, how much did your Titanic model cost? The one in the background, I feel kind of insane for spending like $1,500 on the Hatchet Titanic model. As awesome as it is, still an insane amount of cash. The Titanic model next to me, I didn't buy it, but it certainly was not $1,500. This model was purchased as a kit by my mother back in 2012, and it was just a gift for me. So my mom purchased it and gave it to me, and later on that year I started working on it and putting it together, and it's in very, very rough shape. It really needs to be practically rebuilt, because it is just, after all these years, and moving to several different houses and apartments and whatever, it just hasn't lasted. A lot of it's broken. You can't really tell, but the mast is snapped, and I've just pinned it in place to prevent it from falling over. You know, there's a lot of stuff, just a lot of stuff, and it's just barely hanging on by a thread. So it's got to be completely redone. But, and I just haven't had the time to work on it. I really haven't had the time. But yeah, I don't know how much it cost, but it certainly wouldn't have been that much. My mother did not have much money when she bought that. Sarah says, Edinburgh is beautiful. I did a UK trip back in 2013, and that was my favorite city. Yeah, I think that would be my favorite city, too. I mean, London will be interesting, but London is a really big, like, modern metropolis city, and it's got its ups and downs in terms of that. But Edinburgh looks very old school, very beautiful. So I'm looking forward to Edinburgh. Craig says, Alex, will you do a video on Empress of Scotland? I don't know, because this isn't really a ocean liner channel. I really only make content about things I'm interested in. And so there's quite a big mix of different kinds of videos on this channel. And Empress of Scotland and Empress of Ireland and a bunch of other ocean liners hasn't really captured my my imagination quite the way that the Queen Mary has. So, let's see. Yeah, Five Caps Films. I've been recommended Charleston, South Carolina before. Yeah, I'll have to see that someday. Alright, time for the tea. I'm glad I caught this in time, because if you overbrew or oversteep Yorkshire Gold, it does not taste right. You have to get it right at that moment. So there we go. Thankfully, I did not oversteep it today. And now, oh, I gotta preheat this because now it's not warm enough. So for those that are new, this is an authentic China tea set from the Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth. And you don't want to pour straight boiling water into any of these things because they will crack from the thermal shock. And so what I do is I put hot tap water just straight from the tap right into here, bring the temperature up a little bit, then empty half of that out, pour half of, or top it off, I mean, with boiling water to bring up the temperature again. And once it's hot enough, then I can dump all the water out, pour the tea in. So yeah. Dino DeSantis. Yeah, I mean, well, a lot of those brochures, the majority of those brochures really talk about the really touristy stuff. I prefer to see, like history from, you know, the 1800s, 1700s. And the thing about New Orleans is the oldest stuff is centered around the French Quarter. So that's one of the reasons why we're staying in the French Quarter, because, I mean, we could have got a slightly cheaper hotel outside the French Quarter, but we wouldn't have had transportation to get around. We would have had to walk everywhere. And plus, like I said, everything that's the oldest in the city is centered around the French Quarter. So I was like, let's just stay in the French Quarter, you know, because I've also always wanted to stay in a really historic hotel. I've never in my life stayed in a historic hotel, not even the Queen Mary. I've never had a chance to stay overnight. So it'd be really cool to stay, like, the hotel we're going to stay at has a building that dates back to the 1850s, I think. So it's a pretty old building. In terms of the U.S., it's pretty old. So yeah, but yeah, mostly those brochures, they talk about all the touristy stuff. A lot of it's very modern stuff. And I don't know that I'll be able to find anything more than what I've already found. I already have a huge itinerary And I've had to cut out so much from it because we just don't have the time to see everything on the itinerary. But yeah, it's a big itinerary. What? Craig says, while the ship people want to know what stateroom or tourist class room they were in on the Queen Mary, that would be great to see where they stayed. Well, I don't... It's weird. I didn't see that message. I must have missed it. Well, anyway, I mean, I can help anybody who stayed on the Queen Mary and you want to know, like, what room you were in, you know, I can help you try to find that. I can't guarantee I will, but I can help you try to find it, because I've done that before. Someone emailed me and was like, hey, I stayed on the Queen Mary in the 1960s, and I want to know where, you know, what cabin I was in, and, you know, and well, I mean, they knew what cabin they were in, but all the numbers are changed around today, so it's not the same cabins today. So they wanted to know, like, where on the ship it would have been and if they could get to it. And it just so happened that where they were staying back in the 1960s is an area that no longer exists on the ship anymore, so I couldn't really help them. But at least they got to know. Okay. Chris Surface says, have you heard about the SS United States? I feel something bad is going to happen with that. Yeah, I actually just finished talking about the SS United States. I don't know any more than anybody else knows, honestly. I don't keep up with it. So, in fact, I barely was keeping up with some of the information just last night, you know. So I don't know the information even to the speed that other people know it. All I know is that something went wrong, and the warehousing people that own the pier are trying to stop the ship from leaving the pier, which I think is weird because they have been trying to get the ship to leave the pier. So it's weird that they're trying to stop it from happening. But that's what I mean when I say I have no idea what's going on, because that doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know. Part of me thinks, no, never mind. I better not put out any conspiracy theories. I'm always trying to dispel conspiracy theories about the Queen Mary, so why put one out about the SS United States? But yeah, so it's just really weird. Weird situation. Alright. So Yorkshire Gold gets 2. Oh, I don't want to put my sugar bowl down there. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, well, I have 2 spoons. That's okay. There. What? Oh. Hi, Alex. How are you doing? I know I haven't been here for a while, but I love hanging out with you when you have tea. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've been pretty good. It's just, you know, finally there's been a break in the weather. The summer weather is over, and now we're into fall weather. So now it's cool enough that I can enjoy some tea, which is kind of nice because I don't drink tea on hot days. Let's see if I did this right. Yep. Perfectly brewed tea. Or steeped. Whatever you want to call it. That's nice. Yeah, the Yorkshire Gold, if you over steep it or you do something wrong, the tea can taste terrible. But when you do it right, it tastes delicious. Shit People says, went on my first cruise on MSC Splendida. Interesting. Whoa, trying to keep up with all this. Well, 5 Caps Film says tea is good, but honestly, I prefer Coke. um, Brian asks, "What are my thoughts about the announcement of making the reef out of SS United States?" And not sure if you already addressed this. I did on my previous live stream. We talked all about the SS United States, probably for a good hour. We talked about my thoughts on the SS United States, and I don't feel like repeating myself, honestly. I mean, just suffice it to say that I don't want anything bad to happen to it, but at the same time, I really do not have any hope that the SS United States could have been restored or anything like that. Not a single shred of hope, which is why I just felt like there really was nothing that could be done. And so, but again, what's happening right now, the situation where they're trying to get it sent to Florida, but the warehouse people won't let it go, that's a whole issue that I think doesn't make sense. And so I'd like to see what happens with that, because once again, it just doesn't make sense. Why would you want them to leave after all this time and then you prevent them from leaving? So it doesn't sound right. So I want to know what's going on with that, but I don't know what's going on with that right now. So Mark says, I normally drink hot tea in the winter months. Yeah, I mean, me too. You know, I don't drink it during warm months, but up here in Oregon, September is when it starts getting cold. Like, today's a cold day. I think it's under 65 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's a cold day. And so I can sit here comfortably and drink tea. Ozzy, thank you so much for your comment. How is Alex? Fall weather today, Earl Grey tea. Yeah, early fall weather today, very cold, and today is actually Yorkshire Gold. Yorkshire Gold tea. The ship people, I don't read every single comment out loud. I do skip comments that I don't think... I respond to comments where people are asking me a question, or I think that I can give some kind of response that is related to it. If it's something that I'm like, oh, I can't really add to that conversation, then I don't really read it out loud, because then it becomes awkward. It's almost like, oh, you read this person's comment, but now you're not saying anything about it. So that's why I try not to read every single comment, you know, out loud. I read it in my head, I read it silently, but not every comment gets read out loud. Let's see here. Your grandmother has a tea set called the Royal Albert. That's interesting. I wonder if that's one of those Jubilee or anniversary type tea sets that were sold during the Victorian era. Christianity says, oh, if you go to London, you gotta visit Westminster Abbey. If you're into royal UK history, that church is literally a graveyard stacked with graves of the most famous kings and queens. Yeah, I actually plan to visit Westminster Abbey. That was on my itinerary, so that's something I'm excited to see. John says, hey Alex, do you know if they have reopened the boiler rooms on the Queen Mary for tours? You know, they said they did, but I haven't seen anybody posting online about it. I mean, the Queen Mary said in a single Facebook post that they did. But like I said, if they actually had, I feel like all the Queen Mary fans would have taken that tour, gone down there, and reported back any changes that they saw, because we're all such nerds, we would have done that. So the fact that nobody has makes me think they haven't actually reopened the boiler rooms. So I don't think they've been reopened, but the Queen Mary says they did reopen them. So I don't know. Chris says the U.S. Navy just launched the New Jersey submarine. Interesting. Craig says, Alex, how do I send you some money for your channel? Well, I mean, you could always give a super thanks, which is in the chat. There's literally a $$ icon in the bottom right corner. But if I were you, I would watch my previous video about the New Orleans trip, because if you donate to my channel, you can get perks back. Like, you can get something in exchange for the amount that you donate. So that video details that and what you can get in return. So if you're thinking about donating to my channel, consider watching that video. Again, the link is in the description below, and you can learn about like what perks you get in return for however much money you donate. So yeah. Ozzy says, is Alex having a Long Island iced tea? No, I'm not the kind of person that would drink that. Joe says, is there a direct flight to New Orleans from Portland? No. There are transfers galore, unfortunately. So, let's see here. I wish there was. It would have made it so much easier. Literally, my flight to New Orleans will take a grand total of 9 hours. But due to the way that... the time zones work, I'm like leaving here early in the morning, but arriving in New Orleans late in the evening. So even though it's technically only a 9-hour flight, it's 3 hours longer if you consider the time difference that I will not get back. So it's frustrating, because that's 3 hours that I wish I could have had in New Orleans. I technically do, but you know what I mean. Five caps. Wait, hold on. Oh shit, people! Your great grandmother was on Queen Mary's last voyage. That's interesting. Okay, so Five Caps Film says, Alex, does the china you have contain lead paint? Yes. So, yeah, so this china contains lead on the inside. There is a glaze over all of it, so technically it should be safe to drink from as long as there's no cracks or abrasions. So I try to take very good care of this tea set, because, you know, if for some reason the glaze on the outside ever wore down and it got to the paint on the surface of the porcelain, it would definitely be dangerous. I'd be drinking lead. In fact, I have another teapot just like this one behind me, and that teapot has cracks in the bottom. I purchased it and it was already like that. And whenever I have guests over, I drink from the broken teapot, and I let them have the teapot that isn't broken. Because you can drink from this stuff once every several months and get a tiny little dosage of lead and you'll be fine. It's when you drink from it like every day and stuff like that that you can get some lead poisoning. But I try not to drink from the broken stuff. I drink from the intact stuff. Linda says, hey there, Alex. Want to help you get to New Orleans. Looking forward to seeing videos from you and Chris. I haven't had a chance yet, but I will donate. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, nobody has to donate if you don't want to. Either way, I'm going there. So it's just the donations help me to do more of the things, put more stuff on the itinerary that I wanted to see. Because again, I have no idea when I'll be going back, if I'll be going back. So as much as I can see when I get there would be nice. But yeah, what was the other thing you said? Yeah, and when Chris and I are there, we're both going to be filming content for our channels. So Chris will definitely be filming things, and I wonder what kind of videos he'll make out of it. I hope he makes some stuff out of it, because he likes to film a lot of stuff, and then sometimes he doesn't make a video out of it, and I'm like, oh, but that would make such a good video. But yeah, I've seen some of the videos that, like, when he goes to other countries and he films the things that he does, and I'm like, that would make a great video, and he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna post it. I'm like, oh, jeez. But yeah. Dina says, when you gather raw videos from your travels, do you store it on a device or on the cloud before editing it? On a device. So when I go to New Orleans, I have a lot of SD cards that will hold all the footage. And then when I get back here, I will upload all the footage to my computer directly. I try not to put anything on the cloud. I have an extreme distrust for cloud-based softwares and an extreme distrust towards AI features and things like that, even though I do use AI on occasion to help me with my videos, such as when I need, an image that, if I need an image that is impossible to find, I'll have an AI make me the image, so that way I have something to put in the video. Or even, like, if I need to do some quick research while I'm writing narration for something, and I'm like, oh, geez, I don't remember what year that happened. Instead of Googling it, which sometimes can take a while because you get different answers, I can just ask ChatGPT and be like, what year did this happen in actuality? And it can help me find that kind of information. But I have an extreme distrust towards AI and cloud features, so I try not to use them at all. And I also don't like voice-activated features, so my phone has a feature where, like everybody's phone does, where you can be like, oh, hey Google, hey Siri, hey Alexa, whatever. I don't use that feature on my phone, and I remember for one of my birthdays, I got an Alexa device, I think. I never used it, never plugged it in, never anything, because I just have an extreme distrust towards that stuff, so I just don't do it. But yeah, everything that I film goes on hard SD files, SD cards, and then those get directly uploaded to my computer. Bill says, looking forward to going to the Ocean Liner conference being held on the SS Rotterdam next month. Oh, interesting. Ozzy says, congratulations, Alex, almost 75,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Thank you, Craig. Nathan says, would love to see your dad do a live with you again. It's been a while since the last. He might be on my New Orleans live streams. I do plan to do 1 or 2 live streams in New Orleans. The reason why my dad's not really on my live streams is because he works like every day, so he's never around, and even right now, like, it's just me. So and then on the days that he's off, I'm working. I work on my channel like 6 days a week. So, I give myself usually 1 day off to just, like, relax. But even on my day off, all my friends want to talk to me, to call me up, and, because they never, through the whole week, they don't get to call me or talk to me. So then on my day off, they all want to call me and talk to me, and then I can't do anything I want to do besides that. So, I don't blame them, it's fun to, to interact with your friends and stuff, But yeah, it doesn't give me much chance to do any of the other things that I hope to get done in my week. But yeah. 5 Caps Films. Yeah, see, that's exactly why I don't use that stuff, because it just activates with everything. My phone does weird things, though. Even though I don't have the AI feature turned on, if I talk about a product, right, like I'm like, oh, I don't know, Cottonelle toilet paper or something, right? Then the next time I open my Amazon app, all of a sudden, front and center, it'll be like, here's some toilet paper. I'm like, I've never bought toilet paper from Amazon before. Why would it suddenly be the first thing it advertises towards me? So I know my phone is listening to me. Even though I don't have any of those AI features turned on, it's still listening. So yeah, it's crazy. This is the world we live in, folks. You can't have any private thoughts to yourself anymore without being advertised a bunch of rolls of toilet paper. NCC says, still working on the railroad. I still have it. I'm not working on it, though. I've been really too busy to do that. But like I said earlier in the stream, I'm introducing a brand new type of video on my channel that is much quicker and faster. That's the same word. Is much faster to make, which means I should have more time to do the other things I really want to do. Because that's one of the problems is people on my channel, they love my documentaries. Problem with my documentaries is even at the fastest, it takes a week to produce a documentary. And that's being as fast as I can, skipping over details, cutting corners wherever I can to produce a documentary within a week. And it just doesn't, I hate when I have to do that because then the documentary isn't the best that it can be, you know. So sometimes my documentaries, depending on how much detail I put into it, can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months to make. One documentary I made about the Disneyland Railroad took me 6 months to make. And so, yeah, you can imagine people love my documentaries. So they're always like, oh, make this, make that, do this, do that. And I'm like, I can only work on one of these documentaries every 2 weeks. Like, it's just not possible to go any faster. But because of that, I spend every single day, every waking hour of the day, working on my videos. The only time I stop is to go cook dinner. And it's definitely taking its toll on me. I mean, look at me. I'm getting really fat. Haven't been able to go outside and do anything, get any exercise, because I spend every waking hour of the day working on videos. So I was like, I needed to come up with content that is much faster to make, that doesn't take nearly as much effort, so that way I can make time for things like exercise, you know. So yeah, hopefully the video I put out tomorrow, I hope you guys like that style of video, because that's what will be featured more often on my channel in between the documentaries. But honestly, I don't know. I haven't had much luck. YouTube has been really weird lately. It hasn't been promoting any of my videos. So it's been really strange. And it's been happening to a lot of YouTubers. I've seen other YouTubers. They're on the brink of quitting YouTube because the website is just not promoting their content. It's doing the same thing with me. It's every time I post a video, it puts out a few notifications, and I get like a tiny percentage of my viewers come watch it, and then the video just dies. No one watches it for the rest of the month. And it's the weirdest behavior I've seen from my channel. So it has me a little bit worried, because if this trend keeps going, I will have to stop working on the channel, but I don't want to do that. I like what I do, but yeah, unfortunately, with how much money I spend making video content, I mean, the New Orleans trip aside, just the monthly expenses of maintaining a YouTube channel like this, it's gonna end up just tipping the scales, and then I'll have to stop. And I hope that doesn't happen. So yeah, I'm really hoping people tune in for the video tomorrow. Let's see. Daniel Leatherdale says, I'm further than you. I never want to use ChatGPT or image stuff. It's bad for artists and creativity. I agree that if you substitute an artist or a writer for ChatGPT, then yeah, it is bad for artists and creativity. But I see it more as a tool to assist my artistry and creativity. Because, you know, like for instance, I made a video about the Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. And there was a part in the video where I really needed to talk about this wooden wall that was built along the edge of the park against the beach, because they were preparing to construct the park. They needed to plant all these plants, but the winds coming in from the west would come off the coast, and then it would potentially just blow all the seeds right out of the ground. And so they needed to construct a giant wind barrier, and it was made of wood. It was just logs and timbers that were carefully stacked and nailed together. And unfortunately, there isn't a single photo of it out there. I mean, if someone has it, they haven't posted it to the internet. So it's in that situation where I was kind of like, I need an image, because I can't leave this part of the video blank. You know, it wouldn't work. And then the way it was written required there to be some kind of visual aid for someone to kind of understand what I was talking about. If I just showed random footage of the beach, I don't think that particular scene, the way it was written, would have really resonated. People wouldn't have really understood what was going on. So I used an AI feature to create an image, and I had it create an image that featured a beach with a large wall made of lumber and timber. And that worked for that scene. And then, as well as when I made my video about the Winchester Mystery House, I really needed some generic images of a woman. She had to be in the Victorian age. She had to be matronly, you know, and she had to be in very specific backgrounds, like a garden or in the middle of a construction site. And she had to, from behind, she had to look like Sarah Winchester. And I looked at stock photos and images, real photos that people have taken and stuff like that. They sell stock photos and things. If I wanted to license a stock photo, just one would cost me like $500. I'm not going to spend $500 for a photo, you know. And then, as well as the fact that that no one has the very specific thing I need. I could hire an artist to make that image, but it would take that artist at least a week to do that, and I didn't have a week. I had 1 hour, you know. So it was things like that where I'm in a bind and I need an image, and so I turned to AI to produce that for me. And of course, in those videos, on those images, I put in the top corner of the screen AI generated image, so that way people know that that's not a real image. But I put disclaimers like that because I think there should be disclaimers like that. But nevertheless, I use AI as a tool to help me finish my videos and stuff like that. And then sometimes I get writer's block. Oh my gosh, that's one of the number one problems I have when I write narration scripts, is sometimes I'm in the middle of writing a script and I just get like this writer's block. I don't know where to go from there. And, you know, and I go, I know what I want to say, but it's not coming out the way I want to say it, you know, and it's not concise, it's not clear, and no matter how many times I rewrite this paragraph, it's just not working. So what I ended up doing is I go to ChatGPT and I say, give me some ideas for how I can make this paragraph more concise, more creative, and it needs to be able to say the main points of what I'm trying to say. And ChatGPT is really good at clarifying it and getting me past that point so I can move on and get to the rest of my narration. So I do use AI for those reasons, and it does help me a lot. And I did a video, I don't remember which one, but I experimented with a video that was entirely written by ChatGPT because I wanted to see what the video would turn out to be. And the video didn't turn out that well. People immediately were like, this doesn't sound like you're writing. And I'm like, it's not, you know. So, but I wanted to see what people thought. I wanted to see, like, you know, how it would work. But always, my videos are almost entirely written by me, and I do all the work. And so sometimes I'm in a bind and I really need AI to help me out. And it helps me to get my videos out faster because I don't have to be stuck trying to figure out a solution to a problem that's really complex. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Linda, for liking and uh, uh, liking and commenting on videos. That really does help me out. When people like and comment on videos, even if you disagree with what you saw in the video, putting down your disagreement in the comments still helps me out. Which is actually kind of funny, because I do have a couple of trolls on my channel who are like, oh, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. But I leave their comments there because I'm like, hey, your comment helps out my video, whether you like it or not. So, but yeah, let's see. Well, Craig, well, let me just clear this up for people. Because I know there's a lot of people that come to my own defense when I call myself fat. I don't see calling myself fat as an insult. I know I'm fat. I am, by technicality, diagnosed as morbidly obese. You know, I've come to terms with that. I don't have a problem being called fat. I mean, yeah, I want to be healthier, that's for sure. But, I mean, like I was mentioning earlier, due to my work schedule, I wake up and I immediately get to work, and then when I'm done working, I cook dinner, spend some time with family, and then I go to bed, and that's my whole day. And I need time to exercise, but the videos are most important because the videos help pay for my life. They help pay for the roof over my head and pay for electricity. So I do know that I need time to exercise, I need time to do things, but I don't think it's an insult to say I'm fat. I am fat. I've come to terms with it. I don't have any body issues. I don't feel ashamed about my body. I mean, I like I said, it would be nice to be healthier, you know. Maybe when I climb stairs and stuff, I won't be so winded when I get to the top. But other than that, like, I don't have any shame about, you know, being overweight or anything like that. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I always have been. I think that's one of the strengths about my personal character, is that I've always been comfortable with who I am. I've always been self-aware of who I am. I know when I am not being the best of myself. I know when I have, you know, an issue with my temper, I know that I'm doing that, and I make efforts to chill out, you know. I know when I've done something that disappointed someone, and I do what I can to mitigate that and to, you know, make amends to people. I've always been very, very self-aware. And, but yeah, so I don't see it as an insult to myself to say I'm fat. I know I'm fat. I was diagnosed as fat. You know, so, yeah, I mean, you know, the only thing, you know, yeah, but yeah, I mean, if someone was literally using foul language to make fun of me, that's what I would consider insulting. Because, I mean, you have no idea, like, what fat people go through. I mean, it seems so easy. It's like, oh, well, you're a slob and blah, blah, blah. I mean, anybody who comes to my house, I mean, ask my friend Chris. I am an insane clean freak. My house is sparkling clean all the time. Even after my friend Chris had spent a weekend to spend time with me and stuff, after he was gone, I immediately bleached the whole house. I mean, I'm an insane clean freak. So, you know, a lot of the stereotypes about being fat do not apply to me. I'm certainly the hardest worker that most people have met. I mean, one time I put myself in the hospital because I was working so hard when I worked in restaurants. I literally had exhausted myself and had collapsed onto the floor and had to be wheeled out in a gurney. And so, yeah, I know I'm a hard worker, you know. So all those stereotypes about fat people being lazy and, you know, and all that stuff, like, it doesn't apply to me. But the reason why I am fat is because I don't overeat. I mean, look, I haven't even touched my biscuits. Like, that sounds weird. The tea biscuits, I haven't even taken a bite yet. I haven't even finished my first cup of tea yet. So I'm not like an overeater or anything like that either. I know my friend Chris, who's skinny, he eats twice as much as I do. And he eats twice as fast as I do too. No offense, Chris. But, you know, so a lot of the stereotypes don't fit me. The reason why I'm fat is because I just don't get out and exercise because I spend all day on the computer. So, yeah, anyway, my point is I don't see it as an insult to me. You know, it's just a fact of life. And I want to work at, you know, trying to lose some weight and be a bit healthier. That'd be nice. That would help me to live a few years longer, you know. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, let's see. Okay, the ship people. Yeah, I have two videos. One is it was an experiment. So it was two videos that was an experiment. One was called Why I Hate the SS Normandy. The other one was called Why I Love the SS Normandy. And the reason why I made that was because in the early days of making Queen Mary content on my channel, there were so many Normandy fans who were like, oh, you must hate the SS Normandy because you never make a video about it, but in all your Queen Mary videos you say how much better the Queen Mary is than Normandy. And I had to try to explain to people, I'm like, I don't like say that Normandy is the worst ship ever and that Queen Mary is the best ship ever. Yeah, I am a fan of Queen Mary. Yes, I have biases towards the Queen Mary because I'm a fan of the Queen Mary. I think Normandy people also have biases towards the Normandy because they love the Normandy. Because they do say things that I'm like, that's a very biased thing to say, you know, but I don't blame them for it because I do that sometimes with the Queen Mary. But in my videos, I mean, in my opinion, I'm biased, but in my videos, I try to be as fair as I can. I try not to say anything false about the Queen Mary to make it look better than the Normandy. It's just that there are things that are better. So, like, for instance, you know, one of the things that Normandy fans love to say is, oh, the Normandy was so much more advanced than the Queen Mary. The Normandy had a bulbous bow, and it had gyroscopic stabilizers, and it had a steam turboelectric propulsion system, right, among other things. And I tell people, yes, that is true. It was more advanced, but those advancements did not help the Normandy to be better than the Queen Mary in the sense of winning the blue ribbon. Like, for instance, yes, the Normandy had a bulbous bow, but the bulbous bow on the Normandy was very, what's the word, it doesn't match what a bulbous bow should be. Because today we know how to make bulbous bows on ships. They gotta be huge in order to do their job. Normandy's bulbous bow was very, very tiny. And it didn't even really help. I mean, if you look at videos of the Normandy at speed in the ocean, she generates just as big, if not bigger, of a bow wave than the Queen Mary did. So we know that the bulbous bow didn't help the Normandy. It didn't do anything. It was too small. You have to have a bulbous bow that is 5 times larger in order for it to make any kind of significant difference. You know, so the gyroscopic stabilizers, yes, Normandy had gyroscopic stabilizers, but there's no evidence it actually helped the ship. If anything, they were completely useless. That's why they don't use gyroscopic stabilizers on ships anymore, because ordinary fin stabilizers do a much better job, and the Queen Mary had fin stabilizers later on in life. You know, so there's that, and then the steam turboelectric power generation on Normandy was revolutionary, but it was limited because at a certain point the the system could only generate a certain amount of power due to the fact that it was limited by how much electricity could flow through all the circuits. You can overload the circuits. And Normandy was pushing to her maximum when she was racing for the blue ribbon. Unfortunately, Normandy just couldn't, like, her steam could produce the steam necessary, but the power generation, the power plant was limited to how much electricity could flow through the circuits, and she was certainly being pushed very, very hard for the blue ribbon. And that's why Queen Mary won, was because Queen Mary had limits that were imposed for safety, but technically she was capable of going much faster. That's why there are stories of the Queen Mary during the war traveling 34, some people say 38 knots in very short bursts, because you could technically disengage the safety systems and push the steam pressure past its maximum, for the safety limit, I should say. Push the steam pressure past the safety limit and make the Queen Mary go even faster. Normandy couldn't really do that due to the fact that there was only so much electricity that could be pushed through the circuits at once. So, so there was certainly a limit. And I think there's also, I mean, I'm no electric engineer, but I do think that the early motors that turned the propellers of Normandy, back then they didn't have like overspeed measures. They had a certain amount of horsepower or shaft horsepower that they could put out, certain amount of torque, a certain amount of force and power that could be output by those motors, and they were limited to a certain amount. Whereas today, a lot of motors are built much better, and you can actually force more electricity through them than is originally designated, and they will spin faster and maintain a high amount of torque slash horsepower slash shaft horsepower. Sorry about that. So that's just one of the things. So I made those two videos to kind of explain that and kind of be like, look, I don't hate the Normandy. I don't love the Normandy. I prefer the Queen Mary, but I am, when I make documentaries, I am not biased against the Normandy. It's just that Normandy did have her limits, and a lot of the Normandy fans don't want to believe that. They don't want to believe Normandy had its limits. Normandy was a very beautiful ship. Yes, she was like the Palace of Versailles, just absolutely beautiful. Would I want to stay overnight in the Palace of Versailles or some kind of other royal palace? I don't think so. To me, that it just feels over the top and cold. There's a lot of hard surfaces. It's not very warm and inviting. It's a very posh atmosphere. I feel the same way about the new Cunard Queen Anne, their latest ship. It doesn't feel warm and cozy to me. It feels like you're spending, the week in a refrigerator, a very fancy refrigerator. It just doesn't feel warm and inviting to me. And that's how I felt about the Normandy. It's beautiful. It just wasn't warm and inviting. And that's not a ship I'd want to stay overnight on. And apparently I wasn't the only one to think that, because the Normandy really could not meet the quota she needed for the amount of passengers. She could never be fully booked. I think her maiden voyage might have been mostly booked, but other than that, she couldn't maintain the amount of passengers she needed. So a lot of people felt that way. They just felt like the Normandy wasn't what they were looking for. And so that's just one of those things where it's like, you have to accept what's fact versus what you hope to be true. And I try to be just the same with Queen Mary fans. I try to tell Queen Mary fans, like, yeah, Queen Mary, we love her. We think she's the most beautiful ship in the world. But factually, she wasn't the most beautiful ship in the world. Then again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So, I try to be as fair as I can, Yeah, the ship people. Yeah, I can make your name that when I put it in the credits list on videos. So yeah, I can do that. I have to try to remember that. if you could leave a comment in any one of my recent videos, once this live stream is over, you can comment on live stream. But if you could remind me of that, because this chat will disappear once the live stream gets posted, and it won't show up for another 24 hours, and I might just forget that you want to be called Ruben. So just try to remind me, send me a comment somewhere on my most recent posts or videos to remind me of that, and then I'll make sure to put that in, because I have a video coming out tomorrow, so I can actually put your video or your name in the end of that video. Daniel Everdale says, if you're actively using AI, you can't say you're a skeptic. Well, I mean, there are people who are skeptics that Santa Claus is real, but to maintain the illusion for their children, they write Santa Claus on the presents they give to their kids, just in case Santa Claus doesn't show up. Yet they are still considered skeptics. So yeah, I am a skeptic, but I do use it. I mean, it's the same thing where, like, there are people who are skeptical that ghosts exist, but their mind is open to the idea. They're open to, like, okay, well, maybe, there is something out there, but I need some solid proof. So I'm kind of like that with AI and stuff like that. I believe it has its applications. I do believe in some ways it is useful. I'm just skeptical or cautious about using it in everyday life. I do not... So like I said, when I make a video, I use AI to help me make an image or to help correct a paragraph of something that I think was poorly written by myself. But I don't go out there and have, like, Google Assistant on my phone that I use all the time for everything. I don't go, hey, Google, order me blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't do that. Everybody's phone's now going to go off. But I don't do that kind of thing because I am skeptical of having something that is constantly listening to me all the time. But then again, like I said, even though I don't specifically request something to be listening to me all the time, my phone still does listen to me because, like I said, I can be talking about something with somebody, and next thing I know, on my Amazon gets pulled up the very product I talked about, even though I've never searched it before on Amazon. So I know my phone is listening to me regardless. So whether or not I like AI, I'm still forced to be around it every day. At least I can use it to the advantage or the tool that I need it to be in those times that I really, really need it. But I am skeptical of it. I'm skeptical of how safe it is to be around. And like I said, well, actually, I didn't even get to say this when I was making my point earlier because I forgot. But like when I use, no, I think I did say this. When I use the AI to make an image for me, it's usually because I don't have the time or the money to hire someone to paint me an image. It would take them a week to do it, and they would charge me about $30. I know it's about $30 because I've actually hired an amateur artist before to make me some images for my YouTube channel. In fact, my logo on my channel was made by an artist. So the logo you see with my cartoon face and my hat, that was made by an artist named Gracie. And it was years and years and years ago. So unfortunately, I don't have any links or anything to find her. I can't find her anywhere. But it was made by an artist named Gracie, an amateur artist, and I hired her to make that for me. And I've hired artists in the past to make stuff for me, but usually they charge about $30 for one image, and it takes them about a week to do it. And sometimes when I'm making videos, I just don't have a week. I have an hour, and the video needs to go out so I can make money. And so it's in those cases where I don't hire somebody, But even if I wasn't using an AI at that moment, what I would have done was just pulled a random image that maybe closely represents the image and put that in my video. So I wouldn't have actually hired an artist anyway in those moments, because I wouldn't have had the time anyway. So I guess what I'm saying is, it's in those moments where I feel like either way what I choose will not result in hiring an artist to do it for me. And so I might as well use something that is free and useful to me to produce that image for me. So that's kind of what I mean. And if I want to hire an editor to look at my Word content, I mean, just forget it. They want hundreds of dollars every time they look at your stuff. I had someone, one time I told them, I said, I need someone to look over and proofread my scripts for me, because I'm very good. I'm very good at spelling and grammar, but I do make my mistakes. And the editor was like, oh, well, for every one of these 8-page documents you send me, I want $200. And I'm like, geez, I mean, I get it. They have a right to ask for $200, but I don't have $200. You know, I'd be lucky if the video makes back $200 over the course of a month. You know, I'm like, I need that $200. So, yeah, that's unfortunately the world we live in. Daniel says, you have a good energy, sir. Because of you, I hike in Tryon State Park every now and then. Oh, I want to go back so bad. Well, you know, my friend Shiloh, some of you guys I've talked about him, and in my most recent video, I featured his picture. He says that he might come up here to Oregon towards the end of the year. He wasn't very specific, but he said, like, winter. And he's like, oh, you know, I might go up there in winter and, you know, we can hang out and stuff. I was like, that's great. You know, like, one of the places I'd love to take him is Tryon Creek State Park. That's a beautiful park. I love it. So, oh, wow. Those winters... Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. The ship people is saying 30 for spring, 40 for summer. So, yeah, that's very warm. Wow. The flag. I recognize that flag, but I'm not... the name of the country is not popping in my head. What country are you from? The ship people says, Alex, can you Google the tea set? I can't, because I'm on a live stream right now. I don't have a computer in front of me. Literally, there's a camera. My computer's 15 feet away on the other side of the room. And I'm doing a live stream right now, so I can't do that. And my phone is tuned to my live stream. So I can control my live stream from my phone, actually. Mark says, I'm making Southern-style mac and cheese. Ooh, yummy. Oh, Five Caps Film says, hey, Alex, I was commenting this on your post, but why did Cunard not make White Star Line a different company, but absorb them? Would be cool if they were still around. The reason why is because it didn't really make sense. When you have two companies that absorb each other, you look at what are the differences, right? If there are two companies that are merged and they have distinct differences, the larger company may decide to keep the smaller company around. So, for instance, when Carnival had acquired Cunard, they could have just made Cunard disappear. The reason why they kept Cunard around was because I believe at the time Cunard was the most luxury merchant ship, passenger line, whatever you want to call it, that Carnival had at the time. So Carnival's like, okay, this differs from our product. because they offer a specific experience that the regular Carnival ships don't offer. So that's why they kept Cunard around. But Cunard and White Star Line were very similar companies. They offered similar experiences. You know, a lot of people think, oh, White Star Line was the top of the luxury back then. Well, no, it was in line with other companies such as Cunard. So Cunard offered the same level of luxury as White Star Line. But there's this misconception that White Star Line was way more luxurious than Cunard. But it wasn't really true. They just, you know, they were just very similar companies. And so, so when those two companies merged, they were just so similar that they offered the same exact product. So instead of having two companies compete for the same passengers, they just would merge, and it would just remain Cunard because Cunard was the larger company in the merger, so they got to keep their name. But yeah, but it's different for when Carnival acquired Cunard, because Carnival didn't have the same passenger clientele. Carnival was about attracting the middle to lower class people who were just wanting a quick vacation. But at the time, Cunard was offering transatlantic crossings and world cruises to the luxury, and to the upper class. So it was two different businesses, and so that's why they kept Cunard. So that's why White Star Line no longer exists as its own company. But Cunard still does acknowledge the White Star heritage, because all of their stewards and things have a lapel pin that has the White Star Line flag. Alright, so Craig, yeah, if you send me an email, I can help you out and kind of talk you into how to do it. Again, if you watch the other video, you can see I give instructions on the screen how to do it. So I think if you watch my previous video, the one about New Orleans, my New Orleans trip, there will be instructions on the screen. It'll be much easier than me just emailing you about it, you know. So I do recommend watching that. Yeah, I don't think he stayed long enough to see me say that, but let's see. Ozzy says, Alex, do you think the bow will last much longer on the Titanic since the railing fell off on the port side? I think it will, because the railing that fell off on the port side was probably already dislodged. I mean, you probably heard that it was a removable railing. It was the kind that you lift up and out of the deck, and so that railing was probably already dislodged when the Titanic, you know, came down and fell into the ocean, and the bottom floor of the seabed. Gee, I don't know why I'm having trouble talking today, but yeah. So you know, the railing was probably already dislodged, and you know, and then having it eaten away by rusticles probably didn't help much, and that's probably why it finally fell over. But yeah, I don't think there will be. I think the bow will probably be one of the last features of the Titanic that will remain, because the steel in the bow of the ship is much thicker than the steel towards the middle of the ship, and there's a lot more bracing and a lot more frames that are braced towards the bow of the ship. So they have to be that way because the ship slices through the water, so it's got to be much stronger than the rest of the ship. So yeah, the bow will probably be the last feature of Titanic to remain standing. Someone says the camera is frozen. But my live stream, I'm watching the live stream right here. It's still moving. I'm still talking and moving in the live stream. Does anyone else see the camera being frozen? I need to know, because that is an issue that happens with my live streams on occasion. Oh, okay, good, Craig. I'm glad you heard that. Okay. Okay, so yeah, nobody else sees it. Because I'm watching my stream right now, and it doesn't look frozen at all. So, yeah. What time is it? It's 2:27. Started at 1, so it's been an hour and a half, basically. So, yeah. I'll probably just eat these Tbsps. I don't know, when the live stream's done or something, because I do have to get going. I got some dishes to do, I got some housework to do, and then I gotta finish that video I was telling you guys I'm gonna post tomorrow. So yeah, once again, you know, if you guys want to learn, even just to learn more about what my New Orleans trip will be like, you don't have to donate or anything, but it's a cool video. You get to learn what we're gonna do. That's in a link in the description below, and it also details a way for you to donate if you want to donate and get perks in return for the donation. Let's see. So the New Orleans trip happens the beginning of October. Everything's already booked for, you know, plane flights and hotels and all of that. I'm waiting to hear back about the tour that we booked, because they just had a hurricane, so a lot of people were out of town, you know, to escape the hurricane. So I probably won't hear back about a bunch of stuff until Monday, something like that. So, yeah. Anything else I need to tell you? I don't think so. I think that's it. I don't want to draw this out much longer and keep you guys for longer than you need to be. But anyway, folks, I'm going to get going. Thank you all so much for joining me. We'll probably do a tea time next week, since the weather should be nice for next week as well. So yeah, we'll do that, and I will... Yeah. Sorry, just reading last minute comments. Yeah, so anyway, I will see you all next time, you guys. Bye-bye.